screen is the consolidated statements. And these are as of November the 30th. So as you can see there, the total revenue was $10,500,000. And then the total expenses is just over $9 million with an excess of funds of $1.4 million. I know it's kind of hard to see there. Yeah. Okay, sorry, but it's in your packet if you have access to that. So with that being said, the revenue, we've received 43% of our budgeted funds so far, and we've expended 38% of our funds through November 30th. So I don't have the annual budget on this sheet yet, but that is in the works to be able to be imported. By the way, when you receive these funds or receive these statements, you will be able to see what the budget was when it was passed in June or July. So does anybody have any questions for me at this moment? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance. So really, for those of us who've been around, and I guess for those who are newer, we've gone through different iterations of the documents, but obviously encourage everybody to dig through any of the financials before the meetings and get questions. But also now with Lance coming in, kind of getting his model set up. But ultimately, the auditor is going to be able to speak to this. But the good news is financially we're in good shape, and bills are being paid, pass-through funds are being made, and nothing to worry about. So that's good. Let's see here. We're going to go ahead and.
We need action on that.
We do. Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial statements.
Motion to a second. Second. Any other questions on financials? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, Lisa is going to introduce her.
I believe Daniel's going to be making our presentation, and as you all might guess, everybody read that latest report. They've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. They've done a great job. They did ask us to go in there and give Lance a 10-year contract. He's done a good job.
That'd be a no, by the way.
I know. I wanted to let you all know they were really pleased and liking the work that's being done. Andy?
Yeah, so people in the room, I kind of sparsed out these packets. This is a copy of the draft report, but I'm going to mainly focus on this, which should be coming up here on the screen, that highlights the results of the audit. It's going to try. Sorry, the silence issue. That's okay. Kind of talk through the first couple slides here. So obviously, Barnes Denning is pleased to work with the ad agency. We have for the past couple of years and hope to continue to do so. We were engaged to complete an audit of the fiscal year 2022 financial statements. So that's through June 30th, 2022. And that includes the NKADD statements as well as a single audit compliance over major federal programs. So federal funds we look at and test individually. Some required communications are auditor and management responsibilities. The financial statements are the responsibility of district's management. We as auditors perform risk-based auditing, which is we look at what areas are riskier. We focus our testing, our procedures in those areas. So we don't look at all transactions. We don't look at all invoices, payroll, that sort of thing. We do take into account internal controls as part of the audit. We did not conduct an internal control audit, but it is part of our procedures, but we do not give an opinion on the internal controls for the ad agency. Our audit of the financial statements does not really view or management of your responsibilities, and you can refer to a copy of the engagement letter for some more detailed responsibilities.
No, it's I'm not sure. It's just not presenting my screen for some reason.
This is wrapped.
you want to just verbalize what you're?
Yeah, I'll just continue here. So the executive summary of the audit. So we plan to issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements and the major federal programs. That's a clean opinion. As noted before, we received excellent cooperation from Lance and his staff, and you know, got everything on time from them. Good back and forth. No disagreements or difficulties encountered during the audit, and no consultations with other independent accountants, or else we would disclose that to you. Significant accounting policies are discussed in note 1 of the draft financial statements. There was a new accounting standard that was implemented for the 2022 fiscal year, GASB 87, which tackles lease accounting. And essentially what that does is any type of lease that you have operating finance for a copier to office space is now going to be represented as an asset and a liability on the financial statements. So there were some procedures done around that. We're still kind of going through that review process of implementation of that standard into the financial statements. So that is still being looked at, but we believe that it is materially correct as of right now. Internal accounting estimates provided. We're on the 4th page. Provided by management is the depreciable lives of capital assets. As I said before, we do look at internal controls, and we did not note any internal control matters. We are not aware of any matters related to fraud or legal acts as they relate to the audit, and if we did, we would communicate those to you now. And there's other written items related to the audit in our management representation letter will be provided once we issue the actual final financial statements. So on the next page, it's these graphs here. So this is a statement of net position trends district-wide. So we have assets, deferred outflows, liabilities, deferred inflows, and net position. Just kind of give an overview of year-over-year changes. Assets increased due to increase in cash from increased revenues from federal contracts and additional revenue through Medicaid. As well, with the GASB 87 implementation for the lease standard, there's additional long-term fixed assets. We call it a right-of-use asset for those leases, and that was an increase to assets by $1.2 million. And then liabilities increased by a similar amount, $1 million related to the lease accounting standard implementation. And then net assets, you can see a little bit it increased due to revenues and expenditures. And I'll get to that in a couple slides here. But on the next page, we have the net position analysis. That's broken down into 3 buckets. Investment in capital assets, so that's the net position that it represents all the fixed assets that are under the ownership of the ad agency. Restricted includes the loan program as well as cash related to the building construction. And then unrestricted is everything else. And as you can see, that's a big negative number, and that relates to the pension and other post-employment benefit plan liabilities that are recorded on the financial statements through the state of Kentucky. So now we're at the revenue over expenditures district-wide. So you can see here that for the past 2 years, revenues have exceeded expenditures. And that is due, again, mainly to increased federal contracts and the additional Medicaid revenue received during 2022. Obviously, as you receive more money through these federal contracts, we expect an increase in activity. So the trend of the expenses increasing along with the revenues appears reasonable to us. On the next page, going to go over some general fund trends on the balance sheet. So again, increases kind of across the board here in assets, liabilities, and fund balance. Again, a lot of the trends that relate to the general fund kind of correlate with the district-wide financial statements, but increase in assets was related to cash due to the revenues that came in during 2022. Liabilities increased due to timing of some accruals at year end, so some payroll and related withholdings and benefits, more of them at year end versus 2021. And the fund balance increased due to revenues exceeding expenditures, which we'll look on this last page here, second to last page. And again, you can see the trend there, revenues and expenditures kind of increasing together. Last 2 years, revenues have exceeded expenditures in the general fund. And similarly, again, due to those federal programs, federal funds coming in that Medicaid revenue that came in 22. So any questions on any of those items?
Are there any concerns about the long-term viability of the pension obligations?
Concerns, meaning the solvency of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It's, I mean, we've
That's gonna
been,
be all of our
in the
problems.
state, right, we've been talking about all the different pension funds have long-term solvency challenges and issues. And the ad, which system is the ad in? That's in the CERS, okay. So, same one that all the counties and cities and stuff are challenging with and all that stuff. And they just raised rates, lowered rates, our contribution rates.
Right.
Underfunded and they lowered the rates.
Smart. How's the market doing too? Is that?
You'd think that would make.
Oh, wait. And it looks like we're carrying about $2.5 million in our operating, at least on your report as of June 30. Is that about right? Do we carry that cash balance in our cash account, operating account, pretty much throughout the year? And do you have any guidance around how much cash we should keep on hand? Is that, or if that's a reasonable amount or not?
I mean, I would say a reasonable amount, whether, the ads management or you all decide to come up with a policy to say we want 3 months of expenditures in cash at any given time, or 6 months or a year, or even, create an investment account to have a somewhat of a rainy day fund, that's totally up to you. But as far as that amount of cash at the end of the year, that's just a culmination of everything that happened from July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. So, probably the best non-answer I could give.
I think for the size of organization, that cash is
Seems reasonable.
liquid.
Yeah,
And so it doesn't give a lot of options for doing kind of investing, even
right.
conservative investing.
Yeah, because there can be quite a few delays in reimbursement from Medicaid, from various federal grants that, we would never want to have to take out, short-term loans.
Right.
Because that cash will do this throughout the year, because a lot of what is done here is on a reimbursement basis. Sometimes the state and feds aren't as on top of that as our cash position.
Mm-hmm.
Also have certain rules, some of our programs where we're required to spend a certain portion of the funds, which makes it, you can't really save, for example, because you're required to spend, 80% or something like that in a given time frame. Just makes it a little more.
Yeah, I mean, our biggest asset is accounts receivable. We're waiting on getting paid.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I think that with this, we are going to make a recommendation to approve the audit, pending any other changes, and give the, maybe, you want to cover that, Matt?
So as Daniel mentioned, this is still technically a draft because there's technical review on implementation of the lease standard. The rest of it would be, materially the same, and the lease standard, not to get too much into the weeds, if there is a change, it's not going to change the net position. It would increase both the asset and liability the same amount. So meaning that we have to send the final audit, I think by the end of the year, to the State Department of Age and Independent Living. They're kind of first in line for wanting the audit. In lieu of having a special meeting only to approve the audit around New Year's, which I don't think anyone would actually want to do, I'd be willing to make a motion that the board authorize FNA, the Finance Administration Committee, to approve the final audit once it's received, from Barnesville's technical review. If something crazy comes out of that, that has something materially changed that we feel the board would need to weigh in on, then we would deal with that then. But assuming it comes back materially the same, I make a motion that the board approve the audit subject to FNA's final.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments about that motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just for notes, for those who are newer, F&A committee is essentially it's the executive committee. It's not a long term we use, but we should nominate from our board members, and we meet prior to the full board meeting. And if you're either interested in knowing any more, obviously ask one of us. But secondarily, before you move off of this, I would also encourage you, if there's questions finance related, Lance is available, of course, Tara, but please dig in and ask a question either at this meeting or otherwise, or a program, even if it's programmatic, because the team that does the work every day sometimes probably thinks, well, we don't get enough questions maybe about what's happening or offer suggestions. So feel free to jump in and ask those questions. Okay, well, moving forward, and another kind of a housekeeping item, the KYTC authorizing resolution. Carol, you want to call this?
This is really a housekeeping item. Lisa Cooper has this done in March, but I need you all to sign off that I have permission to sign contracts with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. So there is in the updated version of your packet that was emailed, unfortunately last night, so you're waiting on the draft of the audit. There is a document, I have it here if you'd like to read it. It literally says Tara can sign contracts with KYTC in 3 pages, because it takes that many pages to say that. And if you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate you all passing that. I'm just thinking.
So if we make a dig towards attorneys, Ken, you'll be okay with that?
Yeah, sure. That sounds all right.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any other question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we got a software purchase and our MOU, so Shannon?
All right, I am going to attempt to see if I can get this video to play, but in the meantime, I'll keep moving forward. We are seeking your authorization to enter into a multilateral MOU with both KIPTA and Green River to purchase software known as TruAlta. We're not getting into pharmaceutical sales. This is actually a caregiver program. And so what this allows us to do is they offer a statewide approach. It was presented to the rest of our counterparts. We were the only 3 that wanted to do it. TruAlta said, as long as we have 3 of you, we'll go ahead and do the statewide approach and discount on that. So they gave us basically a price structure, which is located in your packet at just a little over $54,000. That amount is going to be split between us, KIPTA, and Green River. Green River is going to take a substantially smaller amount, a little over $12,000, just because from a region's perspective, they're just that much smaller. We have agreed to split it with KIPTA, even though the KIPTA region is larger than ours. What that allows us to do is have unlimited user licenses. And what you have in front of you is one of our marketing tools. Now, please know this is in draft form because you'll notice the NKADD logo is not there. You can use this right now. There's a QR code that if you scan it, will automatically take you to the portal. Literally, your first name, last name, and email address gains you access to this software. Do any of you or have any of you scheduled doctor's appointments for somebody other than your children? Have any of you called to make sure that, your folks are doing okay? We're all in that caregiver situation, and so this software will allow resources at a caregiver's fingertips. So if you are struggling with maybe some early onset dementia and you're not quite sure how to handle that situation, having access to this app will give you a 30-second little video that you can watch. It will also compound and continue to give you additional resources. So we are excited to be able to do this, and we are asking for your authorization. It is a 3-year renewal contract. If Trualta increases the price because they put that in the contract, we also included that into the MOU that will also compound so that both Kipton and Green River are paying their fair portion of it as well.
The savings was by doing it together and getting it.
Oh, fantastic. A lot of the ads tried to do it early in COVID, and it was upward of $30,000 just for one ad district. So the fact that our amount is a little over, 20, there's some significant savings that we're having there.
Is there a reason the other ads didn't want to go in and do it? I mean, are we test guinea pigs to see how this goes or what?
No, mostly it's just they've got other areas and things that they're looking at rolling out. We've included this into a new position that we've created, a community outreach position, where basically their focus is going to be on getting information into the caregivers' hands. What we notice in our programs is caregivers who finally make it to us are already burnt out. They've already exhausted all the resources that they possibly have. So we're wanting to get that individual out to the community. Some of your communities that we don't do a great job with getting into. Our vast marketing budget that you saw in the audit, really just doesn't allow us to do that. So this allows us to basically put some money feet on the ground.
How long has this company been doing this? Are there other regions or other states that are using this? I mean,
many. As a matter of fact, one of the selling points to it is our federal organization sponsors them and basically promotes them out on their website. So it is a unique software, and so there's. I can get to this really quick. They're in a number of states, yes.
So you get into it, you don't like it. What's our recourse to get out?
There is a clause in the current contract that says that we can.
And there's going to be somebody 24 hours to help each ad.
Yes, so their implementation has been very vast. We have our own set of individuals that we're working with going through all the training. Once we get beyond that, so as a user, because I did ask this question, so if you actually download it and something's glitching, you'll have a direct line to Trualta. They're going to be the ones that are going to actually help you, not our office. It also has vast documentation and data that we're able to pull. So not only do we get to see how long somebody's maybe using a certain module, but we get to see what that module is. So we have a lot of individuals who are struggling with Parkinson's. We have a lot of individuals who are struggling with Alzheimer's. What is it in there? And we get to do that, which also we'll take back into our area plan and be able to customize and figure out where we need to continue to reach. So it's a pretty vast software.
That's great stuff. Okay, any other questions, Jim? I think we do need to approve that agreement.
I'll make a motion that we go into the agreement and splitting it 3 different ways, not being equally amounted, but as proposed, yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Amy. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Okay, Emily's going to give us the brownfield. It looks like the invoice.
So I believe this is in your board packet. I'm seeing that on the
This is your
screen.
first report, right?
This is, and I'm gonna be back in just a minute, but so I'm gonna give you a little taste right now. So our brownfields program, we've had for quite a while. We currently have an assessment grant. So what that means is we have a consultant Tetra Tech, which is who the invoice is for, and they do phase 1 assessments for potential sites to determine what contaminants, if any, are there. Then we can move forward after that. So this contract was previously approved by the board last year, but since this is just a high amount, And we couldn't find all of that from last year. That's my fault, but we just wanted to be overly cautious, and since it's such a large $49,000 invoice, that you all were aware of it, kind of helps bring more attention back to the Brownfields program. So if you have any questions.
I'm going to add to it. I do believe the gentleman that's performing the work for you has done this work for us for quite some
Many
time.
times.
He has changed firms, and I do remember this being brought to us a couple of years ago, and I feel very comfortable.
Yep, his name's Charles Leachman. He is our huge Brownfields advocate. He's wonderful to work with.
I've worked with him on several phase one assessments of this program, so I can.
He's great.
Any other questions? We can do a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Lisa?
Second.
Kim, any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thanks, Ellen. That JFA CARES Act funding, that is a double G there, so we're ignoring that in the agenda. We probably should have adjusted that some. We're skipping over it. Ethics report. So Joe, do we have anything to report?
Early Christmas present. We have a good report.
Great. As always, right?
Got a heck of a track record here.
Joe keeps things going. Okay, we got our board meeting scheduled. Sarah?
I guess it's pretty straightforward. I'm sorry it's not on the screen, but every year, the board is asked to approve the schedule for the following calendar year. So we're asking for that again this year, and moving toward it in the packet. It was in the original packet. We kept all of the meetings for the most part on the fourth Thursday of the month. With the exception of, we do not have a November meeting. There's just so many pages in this audit, so I'm trying to get through. We don't normally have a November meeting because it falls on Thanksgiving, and so instead, we combine December, which also would have a conflict, and have this one, which is an unusual time. So the dates just changed one day from this past year, but we just want to get those on the record, and then those will be regular meetings. If anything would have to happen to change those, then that would be a special meeting, and we would advertise accordingly to make sure that all of our open meeting laws are being followed. So that is why we go ahead and have all of these, and then they're available on our calendar, on our website, et cetera.
Any, I guess it was for motion to approve the meeting schedule.
I'll make that motion, approve the current meeting schedule,
Second.
2023.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I should have asked this before we just did that, but if there are other ideas, this has been traditionally lunch meeting, and it's obviously a big group. If anybody has any suggestions for Tara on any future changes, of course, she's always open to that and suggest things, or reach out to me. Obviously, whatever we can do to make the meetings more meaningful, and make sure our attendance has actually been very good. So appreciate it when people do make the meetings. We've had a couple of them that have been special, and it's sometimes tough to get a quorum. I think that's happened a handful of times. So, your continued involvement and participation really does make a difference. Okay, into programmatic stuff. So Emily, will you come up since it is your first? You want to tell us a little bit about yourself so people can.
Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know me, it is nice to finally meet you and see some faces. So I was here previously. I worked in the community development and public administration division under Megan. And so after I left here, I was in Hamilton County, administering a lot of community development block grant and home for the county, in the community, and then I was at United Way the past year. So happy to be back and diving right into things. So I'm not probably going to try to bring it up on the screen. So, and I'm going to try to go pretty quickly. So just feel free to stop me if you have any questions at any time. So the first thing, and I don't feel Coach Morris, don't leave without one. I have a little newsletter. Yep, I'll get you one. Got some extra. So one thing that it started off kind of an idea that Tara and I had for my division, and we've expanded it to the whole organization is just kind of an update, like what are some highlights, key events, and it's also part resource guide. So we're hoping that, a large part of it is going to be, what grants are coming up, trainings, different events that could help your community. So this will be, kind of at every board meeting, send out to local officials. I know my staff, Bree, is going to the clerk's meeting today, and she took a handful. So just kind of so everyone kind of can keep up with what's happening here. So feel free, it's definitely a work in progress. It's just our first iteration. So if you have any suggestions about what you'd like to see in it or that kind of thing, just let us know. Next thing I have, so the AD district every 5 years updates the regional hazard mitigation plan. So that is a FEMA plan. Technically, Owen County is actually the grant recipient and we subcontract with them, but that's logistics. So I actually did the previous plan when I was here in 2017. So the plan, obviously then if it's 5 years, did expire in August of 2022. So Katie Jo and I and a couple of our other coworkers have come up with like a very condensed sort of process to get this plan updated as quickly as possible. We met with the emergency management directors last week to, get some of their feedback. And what I wanted to make sure to bring to your attention today is that towards the end of January, we're going to be holding a lot of community meetings. So that's, it's a FEMA plan, so they have a lot of very specific guidelines. So we'll be coming to your communities and reaching out, and participation is key to getting it approved by FEMA. So we'll be doing hybrid meetings, we have surveys, lots of other opportunities for input as well. So we actually have a kickoff meeting on January 11th, which is just like region-wide, what is this, why do we do it, that kind of thing. And then, we'll certainly be reaching out for the dates for those community meetings. That'll be in like January, February. And hopefully, if everything goes smoothly, we're hoping to submit to FEMA over the summer. So the state reviews it first, gives us feedback, and then hopefully then it's good to go for FEMA and they will approve it by the summer. Any questions about that? Okay. So I just wanted to bring up another program that we have very briefly. So CDBG CV utility grants. A lot of our communities have those, and I have been getting a lot of calls. I just wanted to overall, just while a lot of you are here, tell you that we are working through those. So those do end at the end of December, and we're working with the state and Community Action Commission on kind of finalizing those and trying to figure out a way to wrap that up nicely. So just be patient, and you will hear from me, I promise, as we wrap that up over the holidays. Okay, so then I'll move on to B, which is our SEDS. So this is another 5-year plan that my division does, is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy for the region. So this is really a strategy that the region can use to sort of drive all types of economic development. Frequently, one of the main benefits is that, if you're applying for funding through your community for some type of economic development grant, they will ask you, if it aligns with your SEDS. So Katie Jo was integral in getting this done for us. And so I did want to bring up the fact that the SEDS committee is typically has been the AD board in the past. So what we're hoping to do for the future is create a SEDS specific committee. So we do annual updates. So I'm hoping to implement this coming year, in fact, to really have more involvement, more input throughout, rather than just kind of every 5 years. And it's in the packet, not on the screen, but Katie Jo and other staff did a lot of stakeholder and public input to try to capture as much of this as possible to do a truly new iteration, rather than just kind of an update. And this has been conditionally approved by the EDA, if you all approve it. any questions on the set.
Is the direct that on the website?
It is on the website, yes, it's on the website, and it is also in the packet. So happy to answer any questions about that.
Questions? Okay. Well, with that, we do need to take action on that plan, so if we can ask for a motion to approve. Tim, do you have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And revolving loan fund. One more.
Yep, one more, and then I'll let Ann come up. So as many of you I'm sure know, we have a small business revolving loan fund here, where we try to, do a lot of community development through this program. So one of our loan clients is Hives Family Services. They're doing business as Milk and Beans over in Crescent Springs, a little coffee shop that sort of integrates kind of like a play area. So it's for, parents to go so they can relax and have coffee, and their kids have somewhere to be as well. So they are requesting interest-only payments for October of 2022 through March of 2023. So they're a newer client, so they're through our CARES revolving loan fund. They had interest-only payments for the first 6 months, made full payments July, August, and September, and they have made the interest-only payments for October and November. So one of our RLF committee members, Chad Watson, and I went and did a site visit with her actually last week. It was actually super busy. We were both actually, I think, more impressed than we expected to be. So some of her issues are that winter is the busy season, so she struggles in the summer when parents take their kids to like playgrounds and stuff instead. She's also had a lot of staffing issues, which I think we can all sort of understand that right now. And she does, so we kind of talked to her about what her plans are. She does have some different marketing things she's trying and some different paths forward. So I think that the RLF committee did not have any concerns with giving her 6 months of interest-only payments again. So what this would do is just sort of extend, we would have to refresh those terms and extend that for her. And so unfortunately, the alternative to this is that in our RLF plan, so she is over 60 days late now, so essentially in about 2 weeks, if she is 90 days, then we do have to start the default process. So I think the overall feeling is that, she's has some ideas to improve. She's there all the time, apparently. She's there working, so she's very invested personally as well. And I think we'd rather at least get some of this money revolved back eventually, if a little bit delayed, rather than have to on that loan. So I know you guys don't have those specifics. The original loan amount was $50,000. It's a 5-year loan.
Those two payments are, she's been making interest only.
She has already made some interest-only payments, yes. So she has made that good faith effort, I would say, that she does want to keep going.
She contacted you immediately, maybe to say, look,
She
I'm
did.
having issues, how can we work with this?
Yeah, she did contact me. It was before the November payment, so it's actually October, but before the November. And yeah, I kind of asked, like, is this a possibility? Like, kind of talked about her struggles, and then Chad and I followed up with her. So yeah, she was proactive about it.
So the committee's recommendation is to allow her for the extension.
And this is just 6 months?
Yes.
So when did this loan start? Did it start in August or?
So her
July?
first full payment was July, so it would have started last January.
Okay.
Her first she had 6 months first of interest-only payments at the beginning.
So when's the 6 months? Does it start because of this November payment? Or is it really January for 6 more months?
So I'm saying it would be actually the October through March. So
Okay.
the first ones that she's already made,
Okay.
except those as interest only, and that would count towards the 6 months. It would be October through March.
Okay, that's what it says. Okay.
How long have they been in business?
I actually don't have that in front of me, but it was roughly, it's only a year or two. I mean, it's pretty recent.
So they were in business for about a year before they got the loan.
They were in business before they got the loan, but not for very long. I forget. I mean, it might have only been even like a month or two. I'd have to go back and check.
Do they share, or did she share her P&L or any other financial?
I do have that, so I can be happy to share that with the board. Chad Watson, I know specifically who's on the RLF committee, and he actually has a banking background. He's, just so everyone knows that. And he looked at it and he said that, he didn't see major concerns, and as, part of the RLF, since she is actively engaged, he was supportive.
We know when we make these loans that they're not the best loans in the world.
That's the reason why they came to us, right?
Yeah, they come to us as kind of the last resort. So, anything I think we can do to help them now, especially after we loan money, we need to try and do.
So is that a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thanks, Emily.
All right.
Great job. So, Ann, talk about the council on aging.
Yes.
Do you want to just give maybe for those who can do a new one, what is the council on aging?
So the Council on Aging is our aging advisory board. It's a designated area agency on aging for the region. We are tasked with having an aging advisory board where we have members in the region who serve. And it depends on the population, how many, like Kenton County having a greater population obviously has more members. And Boone and Campbell, obviously. But those members serve on the board and they help advise on matters related to programs and services that we provide and other aging matters in the community. We meet monthly and according to our bylaws, the chair of the board has to be a member of the NKADD board. And for the last 7 years, it's been Susan Mayer, who has done an excellent job. And Susan has decided over the last couple of months that she's ready to give that up. So I found a new person. So Pat Raverty has agreed to be our new chair, pending her approval.
Totally
Perfect.
Get another name.
So I'm thrilled about that. And I just want to say, Pat actually served on the board in the 1970s. So he is familiar
When he
and.
was 10.
Yes. So we're happy, we're thrilled about that. And it is an extra responsibility, but I talked to Pat and he is willing to take that on.
So Pat, if you can hear us, if you're on there still, thanks for stepping up.
Not a problem.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Pat's stepping in as chair.
I make the motion.
Motion to second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed, Pat?
It's your opportunity, Pat.
Thanks. Can I say one thing off script real quick? I just wanted to take a moment to publicly thank Mayor Skinner. He is a great example of a local official that has done amazing partnership with our division, with the aging division. A couple things I wanted to highlight. In 2015, when senior services in Northern Kentucky went out of business, Mayor Skinner stepped up because the senior centers, they ran the senior centers. Mayor Skinner stepped up for Williamstown and said, we're going to run our senior center. And that was a lot of work. And he stepped up and did such an amazing job. And we were so thankful. That made it a lot easier for us when he stepped up and took the lead in that. We're very, very thankful. Another thing that he did that a lot of people don't know is we have, our case managers are all over all 8 counties. And we have a case manager that lives and works in Grant County. And, you know, sometimes it's difficult for her to drive to Florence every day. And Mayor Skinner agreed to give some office space to one of our case managers, and she's been down there for several years. And we really greatly appreciate that. Erin said she doesn't know what she's gonna do without you, and she's gonna miss seeing you all the time. But we are very, very thankful. I just wanna say that is such a great example of, you know, our local officials working wonderfully with us, and I just want to publicly thank Mayor Skinner for everything he's done for our division.
Thank you very much. Makes you want to stay in public office.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, this will be fast because I promised many people that it would be an hour-long meeting, and I think we're on track to still do that. I just have a couple of updates. This will go along with the announcements and reminders as well in the next item. I did just want to say it's on your monthly newsletter, but we are going to have a newly elected officials training. It's actually for everyone that might be interested in a refresh or an introduction to the services that the ad provides. We have so many of you that are involved, but you might be more involved in one division or another. And so this will be a chance to get a taste of all the 4 different divisions that we have here. And we will have a special focus for our newly elected officials on Emily's division of local government services. So hopefully you can make one of the 2 dates. They'll be on January 25th from 6 to 7 at the Grant County Public Library. And then the following day, January 26th, from 1 to 2, so immediately following our standing board meeting. We are going to record it, and so that way if someone cannot attend, you know, it'll be riveting, and I'm sure you'll want to look at our website and watch it all over again. But we are looking forward to that. I thought that it might be nice. This has been a very long meeting, lots of technical details, to end on a little bit of a high note with some successes that we've had recently as an organization. So we have received a number of grant funds or helped others receive those. So Ann's division, Aging and Disability Services, received a grant of $175,000 from the Burning Foundation. It's excellent. They've cultivated a long-term relationship with that organization, and it allows us to ensure that, you know, we don't have a waiting list, that we're able to support our clients with resources that maybe some of our other funds do not provide. So cheers to Ann and her team for being able to achieve that. Also on the workforce side, Corey Eimer, who is our new Associate Director for Workforce Development, is actually speaking at the Covington Business Council meeting today, so that's why he's not here. But did want to recognize that team received a WIOA statewide reserve grant in the amount of $289,000 that will help individuals that have a criminal background or some other kind of major barrier that are adults actually have kind of a paid internship, be able to get the work experience that often they may not have that's really keeping them from getting a long-term sustainable job. So we're very excited about that program. It'll be starting up here in the next couple of months. Also, our division, our workforce division, assisted another organization through the GROW NKADD Workforce Partnership, $376,000 to Learning Grow and their Navigo effort to help high school and college career pipeline work. So making sure that we have really strong connectivity between our high schools, post-secondary, and our local employers. So important. And that is a countywide, even though GROW sometimes we wonder, but that one is definitely a countywide. Did just want to mention, we have sent some emails about this to the group. We are helping the fiscal courts with a housing study. We haven't selected the consultant yet. I just want to reiterate that even though a lot of times when we say the words housing, maybe our minds go directly to subsidized housing or low income housing. I think the idea of this particular study is just to really understand housing of all kinds. So from the individuals that our Office of Drug Control Policy deals with, that they need transitional housing, people that, oh my goodness, I can't think, they said Newport right now, but Ann's division has been helping with Victoria Square and that, but then also just our workforce housing with the employers that are trying to attract new talent to the area and people of all levels. Lance just moved here and, you know, it was kind of hard to find a new place to live. So we really are trying to understand and select a consultant that can look at price points across the spectrum, inventory, and then also tying it to local wage information. So I did just want to just take a second and kind of let you all know that that was the case. Also, just wanted to tell you that your senior staff, we look a little different than we might have just a year ago or even 6 months ago. We've had quite a bit of changes, and I know that. So we did have a senior staff retreat the week of Thanksgiving. We got together for a few hours in the morning and talked about what should the next year look like. What do we really need to focus on? And so we really want to focus on communications, hence the newsletter. We want to focus on cross-division collaboration, making sure we're leveraging all of our funds well and taking full advantage of all the expertise in this building and beyond. And we're also looking at ways to just help professionalize the staff. We're looking at evaluation tools so that the staff get the feedback that they need to increase their professional development. You'll be hearing some things about personnel policies, hopefully in 2023. We need some updates. And also, we are kicking off a communications committee in January so that we make sure both internally and externally that you all hear the stories that you need to understand about what's going on in the region and specifically with the ad. And then finally, because again, we want to end on a good note, we did have our annual holiday party, which is really a tribute to our community. Our staff, through their amazing generosity, we have this auction. So people bring in like yard sale type items, and then we auction them off. We sell our junk to each other, and then we donate all the money to our own programs to help our clients with things that we can't maybe always buy with the funds. We raised $1,400 just internally through bingo.
Through junk swap.
Yes, exactly. And we did Ann's team, the Aging Disability Services team, conducted a region-wide Via Santa to a Senior. Just with the internal donations, we got more than 400 items and $200 in cash for that, and I know it's been a success across the region. I personally have taken donations that have come in our front door. So just want to say thank you to our staff. They've been through quite a transition over the last few months, and they've been working very, very hard to make sure that you all have the highest level of service that can be provided. So, and thank you to all of you that I have met with. Still working through my list, so you'll be hearing from me if you haven't already to schedule a meeting. So thank you.
And actually, we jumped over, Lance. I'm going to ask you for 2 seconds. This being the first meeting, give us a quick background before we wrap up. We've got 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
Take as much time as you need.
So my name is Lance Hanshaw. I come from northeastern Kentucky. I was with the 5 area development district for 8 years. 3 or 4 of those, like 4 of those years, I was the CFO there. And as Tara mentioned, I just moved up here, actually got a place, I'm moving in tomorrow. So in the Covington area, so I'm excited to be here and look forward to working with the ad. So great.
Thanks, Lance, appreciate it. The other thing I wanted to just point out to everybody is that Mayor Meyer had the prayer about the sunshine. I've been waiting for it the entire meeting.
I saw it. I had to put sunglasses on for 5 minutes.
I wore sunglasses coming here.
Got it.
There was some sun on the weekend.
See, I thought that was like, I thought he was praying for sunshine to come.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I thought he was praying for sunshine to come.
Yeah. That's
Appreciate it.
So, any other announcements or comments for the meeting? Wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year to everybody, and hopefully it's all safe.
Thank you.
For adjournment.
Hi, George.
George.
George. Well, no, you gotta have Rick second. Then we go vote no, so they hit the stage.
Everybody have a great.
I'm gonna make a motion that when we do the moratorium, that we Christmas.
There you go.
At that time, afterwards, come to you, say you're.
All good.